Tom Cruise once had that untouchable Hollywood smile, the one millions fell for. Lately, though, people started whispering, why does his face look different? One moment he's in a slick movie trailer, looking the same as ever. And minutes later, a commercial at a big game had viewers asking if something was wrong. Plastic surgeons and fans offered explanations. Swelling, too much filler, the pressure of a lifetime of stunts. But the story behind that face runs way deeper than injections and red carpets. Tom Cruise didn't arrive in Hollywood fully formed. He was born Thomas Cruise Mapother IV in Syracuse, New York, on the 3rd of July 1962. His childhood wasn't the stuff of movie posters. His dad, Thomas Cruise Mapother III, was an electrical engineer with a volatile temper. Friends and family later called him abusive. The family moved constantly. By his early teens, Tom had sat in classrooms in multiple states and even a stint in Canada. Make a friend, lose a friend, could have been his childhood motto. That instability left him hyper-alert and stubbornly adaptable traits that would later make him perfect for the chaos of big movie sets. School wasn't easy. Teachers labeled him bright but struggling. He was eventually diagnosed with severe dyslexia. Letters seemed to swim on the page, so he learned in another way, by ear. He memorized lines the way other kids memorized songs, listening until every syllable stuck. That odd workaround became a superpower. He could learn entire scripts, not just his own parts. When Tom was 12, his mother, Mary Lee Pfeiffer, made a brave decision. She left the marriage and raised her kids on her own. She worked long hours waitressing, cleaning anything to keep the household afloat. Watching her hustle taught Tom two things: how to grind and how badly he wanted control over his life. He did odd jobs to help out. Every dollar mattered. A teenage detour almost put him on a different path. At 14, Tom tried the Monons of W. Tiles seminary, thinking maybe he'd become a priest. He followed strict routines, but one reckless night, breaking into a cellar and drinking communion wine with other boys, ended that experiment and got him expelled. He later said it proved he wasn't cut out for rules and structure. He wanted something louder, more immediate, the stage. Stability finally arrived when his mother remarried Jack South, and the family settled in New Jersey. A knee injury killed his short-lived wrestling dream, but a drama teacher nudged him toward a school play. He landed the lead in Guys and Dolls and discovered the electric rush of performing. Everything clicked. For months, he poured himself into plays, learning lines, owning roles, and winning awards. By 18, he took the terrifying leap. He left high school with $500 and a bag, moved to New York City, and wound up in a grubby apartment in Hell's Kitchen, waiting tables and auditioning. Early setbacks came fast. A soap opera audition called him too intense. That stung, so he changed his stage name from Thomas Mapother to Tom Cruise, a shorter, sharper brand for a man who wanted to be noticed. His first paid movie bit came in 1981. It was tiny, a few seconds, but lightning struck when risky business turned a modest indie into a breakout, thanks to a certain underwear dance that made him an overnight star and earned him early awards attention. From there, it snowballed. He kept picking roles that pushed him physically and mentally. He learned to fly, trained for grueling parts, and built a reputation as someone who would do almost anything for a shot at authenticity. He hung off planes, dangled from buildings, chased down scenes at real speeds, the stuff stunt coordinators keep under tight wraps. That devotion made him a box office force, and later, a living legend for action filmmaking. But the spotlight also lit his personal life up close. Tom's romantic headline reel reads like a who's who. Mimi Rogers, the actress who introduced him to a new spiritual path. Nicole Kidman, the co-star he married and later divorced. Penelope Cruz, a relationship that faded when different life paths pulled them apart. And Katie Holmes, whose marriage and custody dispute with Tom became intensely private and very public. Along the way, there were private tragedies, miscarriages, and separations moments that most fans never saw. But that changed him. The spiritual path he followed after Mimi Rogers was a major factor. He became deeply involved in a controversial church, rising to become one of its most famous public faces. That connection brought benefits: community, belief, answers to questions about his dyslexia and discipline. It also brought controversy. Former insiders told stories of intense control, secret recordings of personal sessions, and a culture that some said protected the celebrity above all else. A high-profile documentary aired years ago and amplified those concerns, featuring interviews with ex-members who claimed the organization crossed ethical lines. Names like David Miscavige, the leader the church centers around, show up in those accounts, as do former officials like Marty Rathbun and well-known defectors like Leah Remini, all of whom painted a complicated portrait of loyalty, secrecy, and power. Along with spiritual controversies came other public stumbles. A critic once rebuked his comments about mental health, a high-profile argument that played out in major newspapers and left bad feelings on both sides. Rumors, too, swirled. He fought back legally against false claims about his private life and won judgments in court. Those legal fights were painful, but they helped him draw a line between private truth and tabloid fiction. Fast forward to recent years, and the public gaze shifted to his looks. In early 2025, a national commercial aired during a major sporting event, and some viewers noticed his face looked puffy and stretched. Minutes earlier, in a film trailer, he looked like his old self. The contrast sparked online speculation. Had too many cosmetic procedures softened his trademark jaw? By mid-year, a broadcaster compared his features to modeling clay. Harsh, maybe. But it captured how disorienting the change felt to fans who'd watched him for decades. So, what do we make of it all? Tom Cruise's story is a collision of extremes. A kid who learned to survive chaos, a superstar who pushed himself to the point of physical danger, and a public figure pulled between devotion and controversy. The face people either mourn or mock now is only one small frame in a decades-long movie of risk, reinvention, and sometimes lonely choices. You can judge a performance, a stunt, an interview, but beneath it is a person shaped by a complicated past and a relentless career. If there's a takeaway, it's this: fame ages people in public before it lets them catch up privately. Some changes come from life, some from choices, some from the invisible debts of a life lived in extreme motion. Whether you feel sympathy, curiosity, or disappointment, the real story is deeper than the headlines. If you liked this deep dive and want more stories that pull back the curtain on big names and bigger choices, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Tell me who you want unpacked next. I'll dig in and bring the whole picture.